The stimulus plan that they signed, there's $900 billion of funds.
How is that allocated?
Unemployment benefits, $284 million to the PPP, the direct payment, eviction moratoriums, $82 billion earmarked for education, $8 billion for distribution of the vaccine, $20 billion to keep the vaccine free for Americans. That's the real meat that impacts the people we speak to.
Welcome back to the Housing Report. Today we're talking about the coronavirus stimulus package that Congress just passed. When did it officially get passed?
It was agreed upon Sunday night. It was voted on yesterday on Monday. And then I believe today it goes and gets signed into place or signed into law and they move forward and the checks start coming.
That's good. So let's talk through that. So first off, I love your lights.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Today and
I love it.
Step up our game a little bit.
Week of Christmas special edition. So
That's right.
Let's walk through what the new stimulus package has to offer. We'll kind of break down each section, and so all of you guys that are watching this can understand, what happened. What are the new benefits that you can look forward to?
Yep, exactly. And for the math wizards out there, we left out stuff that I didn't think mattered to the housing report, like what we talk about. So there is other money that's out there for like transportation, all those things. And frankly, it just doesn't impact us enough to bring up on this topic. But here we go. So the stimulus plan that they signed in, it's a COVID relief package or COVID stimulus plan. There's $900 billion of funds, and it's kind of going to go all over the place. I've seen reports on like Facebook where it's going to all these other countries and people are all mad, which, I mean, again, it's not part of our thing, but there's money going a lot of different places. Yeah. That's just kind of how these work.
Let me ask you that real quick. Let's just kind of break these down. So the $900 billion, do we know how that compares to the stimulus package, 6 months ago?
It's less.
Oh, this one's less?
Yeah, it is less money. Okay. And then part of this program too is they actually had leftover money, like just under like $500 million or $500 billion, $500 million or something left over.
Okay.
From some of the paycheck protection program, stuff like that.
Yep.
That they reissued and kind of put it back into this and extended the availability of those funds because toward the end of the year here, in the end of this administration, they pulled back some of those funds and said, hey, we don't want it to go to the wrong places. So
yeah, got it. Makes a ton of sense. All right, so $900 billion.
Yep.
And so how is that allocated?
So again, I'm going to the ones that matter to us. So the first one is, and there's two of them really, I think that matter a lot. So the first one being unemployment benefits.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly how much you get from a state right now for unemployment, but I know it's a couple $100 a week, I think, right? Or 600 maybe? 600 a week.
Every other week.
Is it every other?
I believe so, yeah.
I don't know. Either way, the federal government added an additional $300 per week for people that are unemployed. So I think maybe it's 600 a week that they get. Yeah. So anyway, by the way, if you do receive the unemployment income and it is the 600 per week plus the 900 per week, you get a 1099. So don't forget the tax man is coming.
Okay. That's a really good point.
So keep track of that. That 1099 shows up in another spot on your income taxes, but it goes to the part that's taxable. So something important to remember, but they extended that. So $300 per week, which is huge, right?
It's
especially during, way better tthan the Jelly of the Month Club.
Because the whole big thing this year with the stimulus package, people were starting to call it the Corona vacation, where they're making more money at home than they would having to go back to work.
Well, yeah, 100. I mean, you're talking, what is that, 36, like 40 something thousand dollars a year.
Salary. So they're going to extend the 300 a week.
Yep. To the middle of March.
Okay, good.
So that's, they did, and I guess that's when the next time it'll be reviewed, right? So they've allocated of that. They've allocated a huge chunk of money to that to get to the Americans. I think it was like 196 million or something like that. But, the other one they did that I think is really important is they added another $284 million to the PPP, which will be distributing to small businesses. And again, I'm not 100% sure on what the allocation is for that. Yeah. But I do know that the majority of those loans are forgivable. And, again, we always go back to the restaurant thing because we're big go out to eat guys. And that's where this is going to start coming in and hopefully save some of those people.
Absolutely. I did a little recon on that this morning. I talked to Joe Angel, our CPA, who I had on the show last week.
Yep.
And so what I asked him was, there was a bunch of rumors about the PPP. And if you got it the first time, that when this stimulus package got passed, that you would automatically qualify for the new one. So what he said was, they're still waiting on some final rules from the SBA. But what's happening, what they think is going to happen is that the business will have to prove a 25% reduction in income in one of the 4 quarters in 2020 to be eligible for the new PPP.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So
which is most of these businesses, you know. But I think the initial PPP, I don't know if I would call it easier to get or harder to get, but there are some qualifications to get an additional PPP because off air you said something that's interesting that I think the audience needs to hear. Some businesses are reporting that they're having their best year ever, right? So I think with the stimulus, from the outside looking in, they want to make sure that the money, to your point earlier, goes to the right places.
I agree with you 100% on that. And I think the first time they did the PPP, they were kind of like, all hell broke loose. Like, we don't know what to do. Like,
let's get
here's money.
Yeah.
Like, don't do, for me, like, don't foreclose your house. Like, keep some money in your employees' pockets. Keep your business open.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen or how long it's going to take. And here we are 9 months later, which is insane. Yeah. But, that I think, like you said, they're targeting that money and they want to get it to the right people.
Because I think it got a little loosey-goosey, got a little out of hand with millions and billions of dollars getting spread and potentially in the wrong hands. People that shouldn't have got it. So I think this time around, from my understanding, this stimulus is a little bit more structured to make sure that the funds are allocated properly.
Right. We're trying to prevent the stories the guy that got a Lamborghini his PPP money.
That's exactly right.
So again, in the next one, so we've covered $300 per week more in unemployment, which is great for people that can't work and are having a hard time with working. You've got paycheck. I'm not even going to do that. The PPP. They've got that going back to business. And then the next one is the direct payment. I mean, this is is huge. Yeah, this is big. Especially coming back to this time of year where you're spending tons of money. It's just how it is. You know. So they're doing, the last time they did a $1,200 direct payment to Americans for every member of the household. And I think there's some weird guidelines for like adult dependents and stuff like that. And I didn't get into that because I think those are it's like a wormhole that once you start going down, explaining that on something like this, we'd be here all day. Yeah. But in most cases, it's $600 payment to each American and per child in a household. So a family of 4 would be eligible for $2,400.
Regardless of, is there income qualification?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So $2,400. So that's up to, so if you're an individual filing taxes, so it goes back to your 2020 taxes. Okay. And what you filed for your adjusted gross income. So if you're single and you filed in any money that you make above $75,000, that $2,400 is discounted. So got it. $75,000 and less, single household, you get the full bore. Okay. Every $1,000 that you go above $75,000, your $2,400 is reduced by $50. Wow. So I'm saying $2,400 for a 4-person household. Right. If you're making $85,000, then yours is going to go down by $500. At $99,000, it gets totally phased out.
So just let me make sure I'm clear. Yep. Anybody makes over $100,000, they get 0.
Filing single, making over $100,000, you get no money.
Got it.
Up to, it's actually over $99,000. So $75,000 to $99,000. Every $1,000 above $75,000 that you make, your $2,400 goes down by $50.
Okay, and then what about the joint filing? So all the people that are married.
Yep. Again, same concept, different numbers, right? Okay. So joint filing, if you make $150,000 or less, you get the full amount. Got it. If you're above that $150,000, every $1,000 above that is $50 per $1,000 less. So
$50,000 swing for couples.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah. So if you do, say you're making, between you and your wife, you make $191,000. Yeah. Right. So you have 41 $50 reductions, which is $2,050. Right. Right. Your $2,400 is now $350. Got it. So they're targeting the people that need the money. And they're doing it the same way, just on a much smaller scale. It's half. Yeah. It's half the direct payment that we got, or then what was distributed before. Got it. So, and that comes in just, one check for the whole family, or does it come over time? It's one distribution. Got it. I believe, and I didn't see see it this time, but last time they did it through the IRS. Believe it or not, that is the best way, the most efficient way for the government to put American money into Americans' pockets.
Okay.
So the IRS, just because of all the direct deposit from income tax refunds. So the federal government can just zip that money out super quick.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. What else did it include?
So the other one is, and again, for me, it's important for the housing report, eviction moratoriums. So means one thing to renters and a different thing to landlords, right? It's a challenge for landlords, great for renters. So they pushed that out through January 31st of 2021. So that's not a huge thing, right? That's like basically another month.
Meaning what though? So people that don't know kind of what that means, what does that stimulus, relief allow tenants to do or not do?
So if you're behind in your rent or you can't make your rent, you can't be evicted. You're not allowed to file for eviction. You're not allowed to say eviction if you're a landlord to a person in your rental house until at least January 31st. And this has been ongoing. So this is something that's continually being extended without a massive relief package.
See, and this is where, what we talked about on our 2021 housing report, the actual report itself, I think this segment of the marketplace could be in some hot water potentially. The landlords, that segment of the marketplace, because we're seeing a lot of those people selling these properties, and they just want to be done with it. It'll be interesting to see what happens. How many people are not getting their rent payments.
Right. So, I agree with you. And this is off topic, but going back to like what I'm sure there's a million people that follow us and remember everything we say.
Absolutely.
So we were talking about the housing crash, right? How we don't think it's going to happen because Americans have equity. So I read an article yesterday from Redfin, or maybe was yesterday Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. It's Tuesday. So yesterday, and I shared it on the National Mortgage Funding Facebook page, but the average American has 30% equity in their house right now, or in the mortgage world, we say 70% loan to value.
Sure.
You have 30% equity in your house right now.
Right.
For the majority of Americans, which is insane. There's never been this much equity, like trillions of dollars in equity available to Americans, which again, I think is going to help with
a housing market crash not happening.
That massive crash.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of doors. We've talked about this with like FHA and VA loans having a harder time after forbearance, which we've gone through.
Sure.
But this equity thing, these eviction moratoriums, like all these different things are all coming together to make that first time buyer market or that investor market's going to start opening up. And I would say we'll probably see that as we start to round into the second half of 2021. Because
I agree.
That's going to be our make it or break it, right?
Yeah.
Like all these relief plans are going to start going away. They're saying that the vaccine will be available for common individuals by the late spring. So I think as we start to round that corner, we're going to see who swims and who sinks.
Yeah, well, because the other thing is, our prediction on foreclosures was that they would hit the market late 2021 as well.
Yeah.
So the back half of 2021 is something to pay close attention to. And, hopefully this helps us kind of bring us out of this. But we'll have to see what happens.
Right,
with unemployment, with the virus and the numbers, if it goes down, to get things moving forward again.
Yeah. So the other one is, the other ones are not directly related to housing, but I think they're important.
Sure.
Mainly because we have young kids, right? So they have $82 billion earmarked for education. So one thing to keep in mind is that state income tax and state property tax and all these different things that these states collect where people aren't paying them, it trickles down, right? It starts to hit the schools. So I was really glad to see they earmarked a ton of money.
Yeah.
Probably could do more, but at least that's on their radar that they're funding education and they're keeping our kids on track.
That's huge.
$8 billion for distribution of the vaccine, which is pretty insane that it costs that much to drive medicine around.
Wow. And
then there's another $20 billion to keep the vaccine free for Americans. So those points, and just to recap, so $300 per week in unemployment.
Okay.
$600 individual stimulus payment loans, $284 billion in paycheck protection. And then the eviction moratorium, distributing vaccines, free vaccines, money for education. I feel like that's the real meat that impacts the people we speak to.
Was there anything real quick on that about the foreclosure kind of protection that banks aren't going to proceed with foreclosures at this time in the stimulus that you saw?
Not that I read,
okay.
and and I didn't see any of that directly, although I know that lenders are still being, because the Fannie Mae and your Freddie Mac and your FHA and your VA are all essentially government sponsored entities,
right?
That they're still accommodating, because again, lender is like, contrary to that mindset where people are like, these banks want my house.
Right.
Like, banks?
No, they don't.
They're not in the real estate business. They're in the money business, right? So banks are still willing to accommodate that. They don't want your house.
Yeah.
You know, so we're still seeing active, like, I know when I go to pay my mortgage, it pulls up, the first big banner is, are you having trouble? You're eligible for COVID-19 forbearance and relief and whatever you need.
Yeah, no, you're right.
There's dedicated phone lines. They make it easy.
Yeah,
you know,
that's really good. Well, thanks for doing this. Yeah, hopefully, if you guys found value in today's video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, support the channel. We, in 2021, have some big plans to bring you guys the facts. So when it comes to your housing, your finances, you can make smart decisions. So Steve, thanks again for a great show.
You're welcome. Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
This is a shameless plug for me. If you're going to buy a house, or if you currently own a home, without going into like 12 minutes of disclosures, because I'm always afraid of like this legal arm coming down and ripping me off the planet. I'm closing on FHA loans at 2.25% on 30-year fixed, conventional loans in the mid 2s for 30s, low 2s for 15s. Like, there's literally never been a more affordable time to be a homeowner if you have to borrow money to own it. So,
that's a great point. I mean,
amazing time to look into that.
Or refinancing, right?
Yeah, buying or refinancing. If you haven't done either of those in the last 6 months, like, just get your mortgage checked.
Yeah. I love it. So if you guys have any questions, use the comment section beneath this video, and Steve and I will make another episode answering all your guys' questions. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, B.